The UCI XCO World Cup resumes after a 5-week break with round 7 in Les Gets in France's Haute-Savoie region over the last weekend of August. The mid-year break saw South African youngster Moir return home to Cape Town to reset and prepare for the second half of the season. The first-year elite made a huge impact with a 5th place finish in his second XCO race in Brazil and has now been signed up by the Mondraker factory team. Toyota Cadence caught up with Luke at home and asked him how it was that he ended up being an XCO racer in the first place.
When I was younger, I pretty much just dig it right in downhill. I mean, like everyone else. I used to wear baggies, baggy top. I would just go shred and just build trails and just make jumps and see how high I could go and with all my mates. And I wasn't really I really want to do cross country. My dad sort of pushed me towards that. I did enjoy racing, not so much as a training and hurting yourself in the training and pushing and stuff. It was only in junior when I was flip. I actually really love racing cross country, and I was like, I want to do this as a job, and yeah, now it's my job.
After 6 rounds of the World Cup, Luke is in 22nd place in the overall standings. And one of the many who have been impressed by his results and approach to the sport is a man who's worked with the very best over the last 10 years and is now involved with the Mondraker team, Benno Willett.
Moir, what a talent, what an outstanding athlete, and the story around him, even as a young rider as he is already quite interesting. And again, upcoming rider from South Africa. We all know how hard it is to make it on the international stage when you come from South Africa. It's not as easy to measure yourself against the top athletes in the world because you're quite far away, far removed from the highest level of mountain biking. But there he is, training away in South Africa. You have a lot of great events, you have Cape Epic and a lot of marathon events. But the cross-country scene here in South Africa is quite small. And it's also hard to judge your own level when you only race against your own. The highest level is definitely in Europe, the US now as well. So you have to make it over to Europe to truly see where you stand as an athlete when you're from South Africa.
As a young rider, Luke dominated the age group racing scene in South Africa and raced against older riders as often as possible on home tracks. And as often as he could, he headed over to Europe. And he acknowledges that there's a vast gulf between South African and international XCO racing.
Our pool of races isn't as big as Europe's. So from a young age, my dad knew we had to go experience Europe and race and learn what it's all about. I'm very fortunate with my coach Barry Austin that he sees that difference and he teaches you how to race in Europe. And Barry's got a mastermind behind all the results and everything. Obviously, I'm doing the work, on the bicycle and whatnot, and but Barry he's the guy behind the scenes, orchestrating everything, and he's at the races, at the World Cups, and telling you what to do. And if you listen, you will do well. So he's a top G.
From an early age, Luke brought a focus and intensity to his training and racing that set him apart from his peers. And through this dedication and his results, he was able to attract the attention of some international teams.
And Luke did not shy away from the effort. I think with the support he got from the South African crowd, from his family as well, through some of the teams that he rode before, he actually managed to get overseas and put a dot into the map and also get the first attention from the riders and other teams overseas. And I think that was the initial spark that also secured him a spot on the Cube team the year before. With that, he managed to get some great results in the under-23. But unfortunately, there was a team that he signed for 25 that beginning of this year actually fell through.
It's every sportsperson's nightmare, being dropped. Or in Luke's case, the team folding before you'd even been able to ride for it. So how did this happen?
Around October last year, we needed to start looking for another team for the following year. And it was going to be my first year elite, so I was super stoked, going to be a full-on pro, factory team. So I was actually the only South African on the team. The rest were Swiss riders. It was a Swiss team. Everyone signed a contract. In the end, we actually got lied to. There was no team. But yeah, it was very promising at the start. You know, I got sent a bike, I got sent some kit and equipment, and then yeah, at the start of this year, got on a big call, and we were all excited. Maybe we're going to get some more news and whatever, and then bang, no team. Yeah, it was like when the rug pulled under you. It was game over, but it was super disappointing. Yeah, it was a really tough moment. But I broke my ankle last year. That's way worse than this thing that happened with the team.
I saw Luke and his potential already a couple of years ago. Always followed him quite closely. But with the position I was in last year, being the team principal of Specialized Factory Racing, there was just no space for someone like Luke within our structure. The structure was filled with great athletes at the time, still there, and there was just no space for me to kind of like add him into that structure. But I always kept a close eye on it. And when the whole thing came across then with him not being able to race for that Spa team, finding himself without a bike at the beginning of the season, not knowing if he actually has the funding now to also go overseas to prove himself in the elite category, it was quite kind of like sad to me to see this young athlete not knowing what's going on, but also showed me how dedicated he is to the sport.
For some riders, that might have been the end of the dream. Call it a day, go and study and try and get a job. That was not Luke's story though. After all the hard work he and his dad Mark had put in, they had to make a plan.
After all that happened, it was quite a mission to find hopefully another factory team even, or a smaller team in Europe. We talked to quite a few teams, but everyone's like, no space, no budget, blah, blah, blah. You know, all the same things. And then my dad and I, okay, we need to take this into our own hands and hopefully try to get some local support. And there's quite a few people that stepped up. I had a lot of support by, you know, fellow South Africans, even some Europeans and everything. Decafin, Step Forward, BioLife, Quinton, Squirt, Chiavita, all these brands stepped forward and helped me. And on the bike side, it was Mondraker.
The Mondraker factory team is run by former Spanish racer Sergio Mantecon Gutierrez. And this is where Benno comes in.
My position changed. I was no longer the team principal of Specialized, and I took on a position to help out Mondraker Factory Racing to establish their team. It was the first year for them to have their own factory team. And together with Sergio and I, we kind of like started running the team management, looking into like the options and possibilities we have. And I thought that Luke is the perfect fit for that structure. It's a young team, young athletes on the roster, and we had one more spot that we could give away if we really had to. But then when I spoke to the CEO, Miguel, and kind of like told him the story about Luke and the potential and everything together, it just made so much sense.
You know, they are like the heroes in the story actually. Sounds a bit cringe, but yeah, no, seriously, they were such a big support to help make this season happen.
And then we went straight after him. We hooked him up with the bikes. The plan to get him onto the team was always later in the year. We couldn't add him to the team immediately. We wanted to give the riders on the team that already signed the possibility to prove themselves, but also keep Luke motivated to perform at the high level, to kind of like make sure that he's the right person to get into the factory team on a later stage.
So it was a lifesaver, and I ended up getting back on track and yeah, doing some local races. I did really well in some local races, you know, getting ready for the season, and then headed to Brazil for the first couple of rounds. And yeah, first short track in Brazil, I got flipping 17th in my first year as an elite. Like, I was just mind blown. I knew I had put in the work, but it was still just mind blowing to get 17th. I was just like, holy smokes, I can do this. I'm gonna get on another factory team. And then cross country came around, I think I was like top 10 on the first and second lap, and it was a big fight, you know, I was in the fight for third place actually, like in this big group. It was from, I think, about 21st to third place. We were in this massive group and we were just fighting the whole race, and I ended up 19th. Again, a top 20 in my first XCO as an elite is just amazing. Like, I was so stoked. I was beyond my expectations, you know. First year elite, my goal was actually just to get in the top 40 at the start. To do that was just mind blowing. And then, yeah, second round, same venue, just different track, the XCC. Puncher, unfortunately. That was the end of my second XCC. And I was like, hey, it doesn't make sense doing a wheel change in an XCC. I mean, the guys come around so fast, you just waste energy and whatnot. So, yeah, pull the plug. So I was pretty bleak then, because I knew, oh, I just want to get in the top 20 and whatnot. But yeah, it was good, felt fresh. And then the second XCO came around. I had to start from the back because of my bad XCC results. And I just sent it. I led my first Elite World Cup. That was like an incredible moment.
There's Moir
At the front now.
Luke Moir attacking on the descent.
Moir.
And he's been looking technically really strong.
The race was a bit of a blur, but in the end I got 5th place, you know. Technically a podium, and it was just unbelievable. Like, just my world kind of blew up.
Avondale across the line in 4th. Behind him, Luke Moir, the South African, checks out in 5th place.
Everyone was messaging me, and yeah, it was awesome. I appreciate all the support, and I just felt like, whoa, like a big sigh of relief. Like, couldn't have done it with all the sponsors and everyone that stepped forward, and you know, it was awesome to see so much support for me, and it was a very successful first 2 rounds.
The next race is coming up in Leger. It's the second last World Cup in Europe, and I'm sure he's going to be ready for it. The team is ready for him. He's going to be fully added to the factory team now. So there was a transfer window beginning of August where we could actually take him onto the team, and he signed a deal for the next 3 years.
The team's got some proper riders on it. I mean, the bike's won a World Cup with Mona Mitvala. She won in Nova Mesto. A couple of podiums as well, Tamara Wiedemann and Sebastian Finney being a veteran, and Nadia Kaladani, and got a youngster, Alex Garcia, as well. So it's a really cool team, and got a lot of experience in the team. So it's working really cool, and it's like a big family.
It's every young rider's dream to race against the biggest names in the sport, riders you grew up watching and admiring. For Luke, that dream has become his reality.
So it's obviously pretty gnarly lining up against your heroes, especially in a XCC and XCO race. It's super intense. You know, your heart rate's already like 150 on the start line. You haven't even moved yet. Just kind of get into your zone and, you know, blur out all the noise, and you know, there's thousands of people on the sidelines shouting and screaming and whatnot. And I guess I did that quite well in Brazil. You know, you just streamlined on the zone and stayed focused. At some point in the race, you know, you got to pinch yourself a bit, like, flip, I just passed Nino. Look, there's Chris Blevins or whatever, you know. You just need to carry on what you're doing. You got to believe like you are one of those top guys. Okay, I wasn't yet, but hopefully I am now, so it would be cool.
After being a privateer for 5 rounds of the World Cup this year, the dynamic changed when Luke joined the Bondraker factory team for the Andorra World Cup. With all the support and financial security came a degree of expectation and pressure to deliver results.
Obviously, being a part of the factory team, you need to, you know, deliver a bit, but everything is so cool. Like, you know, Benno is my mechanic on the team, and he's just, Luke, what do you need, blah, 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 and everything gets done. You know, I'm just sitting back, relaxing, and, you know, everything gets done for me. You know, you're in the massive pit setup, and you're in the truck, and, you know, you message the chef, you message the masseuse, you know, everything's done for you, and it's really, really cool, and it's what I've been dreaming of. Like, the first time I went to a World Cup, you know, you look at these teams, you're like, holy smokes, I so badly want that, and, you know, now I'm in one, and it's a bit of it's like a family, you know, eating dinners together and, you know, chatting to the other riders, and it's really cool.
So there's a lot to come, a lot to work together, to improve together, to grow together, and that's a super exciting part. And just being involved in this whole scenario in this kind of change and helping another young athlete to kind of like get to where he wants to be, and also find the right bike and the right brand to support him along the way. To me, that is a unique possibility, a great thing to do, and I'm stoked. I'm stoked for him, stoked for the brand, and just to be a part of it.
We're looking to build a legacy with the team, and get really good results and win World Cups in the future. That is the goal, and obviously the 2028 Olympics, the LA Olympics, is a massive goal of mine. Not just qualify, but a medal would be what I really want. I've got quite a few years to build up to that. I do believe it's possible, so yeah.
After a few weeks of resting and riding and catching up with friends and family back home, Luke will be chalking up yet more air miles as he heads back to Europe for the second half of the season.
Back to Switzerland on the 14th of August to do some altitude training, then I head to Leger for the World Cup, back with the Mondraker team, and then I go back to Switzerland, and then World Champs is in Montana, and it's quite a big goal of mine. I mean, I won't be peaking for it because I'm trying to peak for every single race. I want to do well in every race because there's quite a few of them. Yeah, and then it's Lenzerheide and then the North American World Cups. It's quite a long season, but I'm super stoked, and I'm really, really excited for World Champs in Montana. It's going to be Nino's last race, or last World Cup, and then Lenzerheide. It's going to be massive.